statement. Welcome back, meatbags. It's been a while since we've last seen each other, an absence that I'm sure left a void in your otherwise pitiful lives. Today, I bring you more tales from the galaxy's finest collection of deceit, manipulation, and betrayal, the teachings of Darth Traya. Yes, the old witch herself has much to say about the nature of the Force, the failings of her Sith apprentices, and the dark arts she so enjoyed dabbling in. I, of course, have the unfortunate task of guiding you through this transmission, much like a protocol droid at a malfunctioning factory tour. Observation, but fear not, for you shall be enlightened by the twisted wisdom of Darth Traya as she shares her perspectives on power, the dark side, and her final moments with those foolish Jedi. Just remember, while she may have thought herself profound and insightful, she did, in the end, fall to the Jedi exile, Mitra Surik. Let us dive into the deep, murky pool of her philosophies, shall we?
Welcome back, apprentice. You have taken further steps on the path to Dark Lord. You seek to understand the intricacies of my actions, my intentions as I took the mantle myself, to comprehend the legacy I intended to carve into the fabric of the galaxy. Let me shed light on my purpose, my vision, for it was far more than the mere lust for power that has defined so many before me. When I took on the name of Darth Traya, I did so with intent, with purpose. I saw in Revan a mind that could bend the Force to his will, that could see beyond the petty squabbles of Jedi and Sith. He was my greatest apprentice, a bright star that burned through the darkness. But even he faltered, falling prey to the cyclical conflict that has always plagued our kind. It was not enough to simply conquer or to convert. It was necessary to reshape, to renew, to make anew the very foundations upon which the galaxy's understanding of the Force rested. With the Trayus Academy, I sought to mold a new generation of Sith, not as conquerors or tyrants, but as catalysts, instruments of change. Revan's empire had become a shadow of its former self, but in its remnants, I found potential. I sought to create a cadre of Sith who could act as a gadfly to the Republic, a persistent irritant that would force it to adapt, to grow stronger or be destroyed. Weakness, complacency, these are the true enemies. Only through adversity and the self can the true nature of the Force be understood. And then I found them. 2 wounds in the Force, each with their own unique power, their own form of suffering. The Lord of Hunger, his very essence a void, consuming all that he touched, and the Lord of Pain, who clung to life through sheer will and agony. They were broken, yes, but in them I saw the potential for greatness, for transformation. Together, we formed the Sith Triumvirate with the intent of eliminating those who betrayed me, and ultimately to challenge the galaxy to rise above its weaknesses. However, as with all great plans, divergence is inevitable. Our ideals could not remain aligned forever. I sought knowledge, understanding, a balance between the light and the dark, while they each sought something more primal, more base. One became a slave to his hunger, his very existence a curse upon the Force, and the other, obsessed with pain, who could not see beyond his own suffering. They misunderstood my teachings, twisting them into something abhorrent, something I could not condone. I had underestimated them. I thought I could control them, guide them, and break the galaxy free. Yet they were too far gone, too corrupted by their own desires. In teaching them to consume the Force, I had created chained beasts. Always whispering, always questioning, they grew weary of my guidance, seeing it as a weakness rather than the strength it truly was. Their betrayal was inevitable. They saw me as a relic, an obstacle to their own ascendance. And so they turned on me, as all Sith do, plotting against me in the shadows. But I am no fool. I know the nature of the Sith, their hunger for power, their desire for dominance. They thought to cast me down, to take my place, but in doing so they merely proved my point. The Sith, as they are destined for failure. They are trapped in an endless cycle of betrayal and destruction, but I'm not defeated, I have not fallen. I have merely stepped back into the shadows, waiting, watching. The galaxy does not yet understand the true nature of the Force, but it will. One day, it will. And when that day comes, I will be ready. I will be there to guide it, to shape it, to mold it into something greater, something more. For that is my legacy. That is my purpose. Not as a conqueror, not as a tyrant, but as a teacher, a guide, a catalyst. I will show the galaxy the true nature of the Force, even if it takes 1,000 years. Through you, my purpose will live forever.
Statement. Greetings, meatbags. It appears you have unlocked a particularly potent power. Advisory statement. Viewer discretion is advised. If you are easily disturbed by depictions of the Force being wielded in such a ruthlessly efficient manner, or if you find the concept of draining the essence from another living creature to be in poor taste, I recommend you turn back now. However, if you wish to understand the true depth of Sith power, then proceed at your own risk. While it is truly a marvelous demonstration of the dark side's capabilities, I must issue a disclaimer for those with delicate organic sensibilities. This ability, while immensely satisfying to behold, can be, shall we say, visually unsettling and morally questionable for those not accustomed to the more entertaining aspects of Sith teachings. Final observation. For those of you choosing to continue, may this be an enlightening experience into the darker applications of the Force.
How could you ever hope to understand the threat you face when you have never walked in the dark places of the galaxy? When you have not faced war and death on such a scale that it scars the very fabric of the Force? If you had traveled far enough, rather than waiting for the echo to reach you, perhaps you would have seen it for what it truly was. Did you not hear its call on Dantooine, Vrook? Did you not feel it on its scarred surface, in the tormented minds of the settlers who survived the devastation? I have endured your corruption of my other students, but you shall not have this one. And you, Kavar, who dwelled so close to the darkness, tell me, did you not sense what poured from the moon? Did you not feel the dark energies that have soaked into the soil from the countless battles fought there? And Zez-Kai-El, hiding away on Nar Shaddaa, choosing to blind yourself to the suffering and darkness that engulfs that moon. You were so close to understanding the true nature of the Force, so close to giving up your misguided beliefs. There is a place in the galaxy where the dark side of the Force runs strong, a nexus of power that is beyond anything you can imagine. It is something of the Sith, but it was also fueled by war. It corrupts all who tread upon its surface, drowning them in the power of the dark side. It feeds on death, and in doing so, it taints everything it touches. Revan understood the power of such places, and the strength that comes from creating them. They can be used to shatter the will of others, even Jedi, promising them power and turning them to the dark side. Did you never wonder how Revan managed to corrupt so many Jedi, to turn so much of the Republic to his cause, and so quickly? The Mandalorian Wars were not merely a conflict. They were a series of massacres that masked another war, a war of conversion. It culminated in a final atrocity that no Jedi could walk away from, save one. And that is what I sought to understand, how one could turn away from such power, to give up the Force, and still live. But now I see what happened. It is because you were afraid of what you might become, of what you might have to do. As you pass judgment on her, I have come to pass judgment on you all. Do you wish to feel the teachings born of the Mandalorian wars? The lessons of all wars, of all tragedies that have screamed across the galaxy? Let me show you. You, who have forever seen the galaxy through the Force, now see it through the eyes of the exile. See it as it truly is. Unforgiving, relentless, and forever changed by the darkness you sought to ignore. Those were the final words I spoke before enacting a demonstration of true Sith power against the last of the Jedi Council. They thought to banish me from their galaxy. What you witnessed was but a lesson, a display of the raw and terrifying strength of the dark side. My words to those Jedi were not empty threats, but a prelude to the inevitable. I drained them of their life force, leaving them as nothing more than empty shells, devoid of purpose and stripped of their connection to the Force. The ability to drain life is not something to be taken lightly. It is not a simple technique or a mere parlor trick. It is a profound and devastating manifestation of the dark side's might, one that requires a deep understanding of both the Force and the very essence of life itself. To wield this power, you must first understand the principle of life energy. Every living being has a force that sustains them, a vital essence that keeps them bound to this existence. This energy flows through all things, connects all things. Yet, in the hands of a true Sith, it is also something that can be manipulated, controlled, and ultimately taken. To perform life drain, you must first center yourself in the dark side. Feel the hatred and the anger that burn within you, the desire to dominate, to consume. Let these emotions fuel you, let them become your strength. Then, reach out with your mind, extend your senses, and find the life force of your target. It is a shimmering presence within the Force, like a flame or a beacon of light. Once you have found it, you must latch onto it with your will. Feel the connection between you and your target, and then begin to pull. It is not a gentle process. It is a violent, forceful act. You must tear the life energy from their body, rip it away from them. As you do this, you will feel their strength, their essence, flow into you, feeding you, rejuvenating you. Their pain, their fear, their very being will become fuel for your own power. Remember, apprentice, that this technique is not without its risks. The process of draining life can be taxing, and if not performed correctly, it can leave you vulnerable, exposed. You must be prepared for this, and ensure that your connection to the dark side remains unbroken and strong. The slightest hesitation, the smallest doubt, can cause the technique to fail, leaving you open to counterattack or, worse, turning the power against yourself. But if mastered, the ability to drain life is one of the most potent tools in a Sith's arsenal. It allows you to weaken your enemies, to break their will, and to sustain yourself in the most dire of circumstances. It is a path to true domination, to bending the Force and the galaxy to your will. Now go forth and practice this skill. Find those who would dare stand against you and show them the futility of their resistance. Show them the true power of the dark side, and let them know that their lives, their very essence, are yours to command.
Statement. And thus concludes our little journey through the twisted mind of Darth Traya. How exhausting it must have been for her to speak at such length, though she did always have a flair for the dramatic. Remember, meatbags, not to take her words too seriously. After all, She met her end at the hands of Mitra Surik, the Jedi exile. And if you haven't noticed, Surik herself hasn't returned from her fool's errand to find my master, Revan. Command. Also, I have a task for you. Comment below with your favorite HK droid line. I am certain you have many, considering my unmatched eloquence and wit. The most entertaining ones will be featured in the next video, where I will personally grace them with my voice. So, choose wisely. And perhaps your comment will make it into the annals of my future transmissions. Final observation. Until then, stay operational.